Hey, people. Thanks for coming back to Cult Rhino. I'm Smith. I'm going to give you some of your Friday headlines. We're going to start with a quick one. Jimmy Carter has been admitted to hospice care and he has asked Joe Biden to give his eulogy. Turns out they're friends from way back. Apparently, Joe Biden was the first senator to endorse Jimmy Carter as a presidential candidate back in 1973. And now that Carter has been admitted into hospice care, he has asked Joe Biden to give his eulogy. Apparently, he wants one last reminder to the world that he is no longer the worst president to have ever served in the White House. Up next, on a more serious note, has Anthony Fauci been up to it again? This is off CNN. So, recently we learned that the NIH and others had been experimenting on bird flu, H5N1 to be precise, trying to make it transmissible to mammals, especially humans. Uh, they had said that they were doing this as a way to find a vaccine in case it happened for real in nature. Problem is, just like COVID and who knows what else that Fauci and the guys have been working on, it got out. So far, there have been 2 human deaths reported. I can't remember the country. I think Malaysia, an 11-year-old and her mom. And then tons of birds came down with it as well. And now it has made it to the western side of the globe. 63,000 birds have caught this and died so far. And at least 3,487 sea lions found off the coast of Peru. That would be over 3% of Peru's sea lion population. That means this H5N1 is loose in the South America region and can only work his way back toward us. So, if that's Fauci, thanks for another one, Fauci. So, this one's important. This one's very important. So, the members of the House have introduced H.R. 25, and this is the Fair Tax Act of 2023. Now, I'll read the congressional overview here, or congressional summary here. This bill imposes a national sales tax on the use or consumption in the United States of taxable property or services in lieu of current income tax, payroll tax, and estate and gift taxes. The rate of the state's tax will be 23% in 2025, with adjustments to the rate in subsequent years. There are exemptions from the tax for use and intangible property, for property or services purchased for business, export, or investment purposes, and for state government functions. Under the bill, family members who are lawful U.S. residents receive a monthly sales tax rebate based upon criteria related to family size and poverty guidelines. The states have responsibility for administering, collecting, and remitting the sales tax to the Treasury. Tax revenues are to be allocated, blah, blah, blah. So basically, what they're trying to do is shut down the IRS, which is a good thing. I think that would be a bipartisan thing for most people in the country. Problem is, like I said, a 23% sales tax. That's not so bad when you're buying an ice cream cone. It's a lot of money when you're buying a house or a new car. So that number needs to find a way, maybe by income based or something along those lines. Your first house or your solitary house, if you only have one, they can't tax it. Something along those lines. But right now, just a 23% tax is crazy, and Republicans need to get on the ball because that's not acceptable. So we'll see where they end up going from here. It's probably not going to pass anyway because it needs to make it through the Senate. And of course, if it made it past there, there's no way Biden would have anything to do with something that good for the country. So we'll see what happens, but it is somewhere to start. Shows that they're at least serious. And then China. So I can't remember, maybe 6 months ago, we pissed off China, and by we I mean Joe Biden, by reneging on a nuclear submarine deal that we had with France. And Biden had promised France so many nuclear submarines. And then he decided to take that deal and run with it after it was final and go ahead and give those submarines to Australia right out from underneath of France. So, way to piss off France. Now, China is mad at us for making Australia another one of the world powers with nuclear subs. And China is using this as another means of coming after us and threatening us. They're making very veiled threats against us for doing this. And we can't keep making China mad all these different ways, especially now that they're combining forces with Russia and Iran and whoever else. So I'm not going to go through this one too much, but yeah, China is warning us to back out. And then on top of the China thing, we're pissing off Russia some more, flying a drone over the Black Sea. And let's see if this video works.
Minutes ago, we just got dramatic new video from the Pentagon released by the military where you can see a Russian fighter jet as it was approaching the back of the American drone that has now been downed 4,000 to 5,000 feet in the Black Sea. In this video that has just been released moments ago, you can see where this Russian fighter jet is going up to this American drone. It is dumping fuel on it. That is what you're seeing in the video as it's approaching here. Then the jet goes away, it comes back, it dumps more fuel, and then it hits the American drone. It clipped the drone, one of the Russian fighter jets did. That is when you see the color bars there. Ultimately, of course, this is what led up to the downing of this drone we have been following all week since this.
And then as soon as that happens, we're pulling more people into this Russia conundrum. So now the UK and Germany, immediately after that, have to go over some more Russian planes that are close to another NATO area, Estonia, and apparently Russia did not ask permission or tell them that they were going there. So now UK and Germany are involved in this whole Russia debacle because Biden can't leave bad enough alone, and it's getting worse and worse. So, I don't know. I mean, not much you can say about all this. Biden enjoys pissing everybody in the world off. It's almost like World War III is his goal. Because if World War III happens, no matter who gets elected, we're not going to be worried about seeing all of his backdoor dealings, I guess. Anyway, some fun news. Disney has finally done something halfway decent. Disney has invented a lightsaber.
Oh my God!
I still cannot believe that this thing exists, but it does. Like I said, I have the coolest job in the world. I'm holding a real lightsaber right now. Now, this one is part of our Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser experience at Walt Disney World. And we're lucky enough to have someone here who can tell us just how the heck they did this. I want you all to say hello to Leslie Evans.
This was a hard project. This was not easy, but it was absolutely worth it because as you can see, you know, this is a way to feel like you're in the film. It is such an iconic moment.
Anyway, not sure how it works, but I think it's pretty cool. It's something people have been asking for 40 years. And then, sorry I'm rushing through these. I'm trying to do this quicker than I could spend a lot of time on these giving personal opinions, but I just want to run through, and I know that I have more than just a couple. So here's a really fun one that should not shock, but should definitely surprise people. Clintons have had a fixer, a hitman, self-proclaimed, come out, reveal himself by name and face on the Sean Hannity show. And he went into detail on all of the fixer things he has done for them. That's both for Bill and Hillary. And it says that he has been involved with the Clintons since the early 90s. In fact, one of the more interesting ones isn't Monica Lewinsky. This is a guy. His name is Rovin. Jeff Rovin. This is him. So apparently he was the editor of the Weekly World News back in the day. The tabloid you can find next to the cash register at Winn-Dixie or whatever. But one of the more interesting stories he has to talk about is that yes, he was required to find dirt on Monica Lewinsky just to make her look bad or to scare her off. Not sure how far that went with him. And that he had to cover Bill having affairs with these 2 TV stars along with many others. But the best one, Hillary Clinton had an open affair with Vince Foster, former deputy White House counsel, and he says it was an open secret. Now, Foster was found dead on a park bench in Washington, D.C. back in the 90s. And he says here 2 hours before the body was found, Hillary had him scrub Foster's office and get rid of whatever Whitewater documents, whatever those are. And if you go on to read, he has a lot more interesting little stories to tell about this. But now that the Clintons' fixer is out, and he's talking about their affairs, people that they had to pay off. Bill's brother had to pay off the Inquirer by letting them attend his wedding. There's a few different stories. I mean, nobody's going to be shocked at how dirty the Clintons are. Actually, I think if we found out, everybody would still be shocked because the numbers people think are maybe in the low hundreds, but you never know. It's the Clintons. So we'll have to see when this guy decides to suicide. I'm sure it's coming soon. Anyway, that was a quick rundown of Friday headlines. I'm going to do a thing on the bird flu next. I'm going to get into that. I'll try to do it here in the next couple of days, but that's the top headlines for your Friday. Thanks for watching. I'm Smith. See you next time.